And now it's time for Guerilla Roundup. They'll let you know what happened overnight when things transpire you whilst you sleep. Right there in the loop you keep.
Well, welcome back to the MCG, where our intrepid reporter, Toby Reynolds, is showing incredible stamina, following England through thick and mostly thin. Uh, but it's been a very much an Australian day today. In response to England's 170, Australia finished today at 419 for five. And Toby was there for every moment of it, every seagull, every dropped catch, and every sigh. How are you traveling, Toby, after all of that?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I think there's similar numbers of size, seagulls, and drop catches today as well. There's been a fair few of each, unfortunately.
uh,
But otherwise, yeah, not a bad day. Food's always good at the MCG, so I'm happy there.
oh, that's good. That's good. It makes up for a decent meal, isn't it? Good. So take us through the day as it went for you.
Um, well, I'll just stick to the highlights because we don't want to keep mentioning the 7 or 8 drop catches that were peppered throughout the day. I mean, the big highlight really, Annabelle Sutherland, absolutely crazy. First woman ever in Test cricket to score back-to-back 150s. First woman ever to score an 100 at the MCG here. Absolutely brilliant knock. There were a few possible chances throughout. It definitely wasn't a chanceless innings by any means. As I mentioned, the 7 dropped catches, which will be a continual recurrence, I'm sure, throughout this video. But yeah, she batted perfectly. Really, just started slow. England were actually bowled with reasonable control early on. Got a somewhat early breakthrough with Phoebe Litchfield out for about 45. But then yeah, Sutherland just kept going and partnered throughout the day with, as you mentioned, Phoebe Litchfield first up, then Healy, then Mooney at the end, who also batted amazingly for her 98. I think that was a chanceless 98, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
So
no, she
she'll
did
be.
get it dropped as well, I think.
Oh,
Um,
did she?
but yeah, everybody got dropped at some stage, I think.
Yeah, it's probably a safer bet. Just assume people have been dropped and then correcting the other way around.
Yeah, England must be
Um,
very, very sick of the sight of Beth Mooney, that's for sure.
yeah, I know that's her fourth 50 of the series, and when there's only seven games in it, that's a pretty unbelievable stat from her. She's been Mrs. Reliable the whole time,
Yeah.
and showed it again today. Showed her class down the order a bit lower than perhaps she normally would, but didn't change the fact that she just kept going as as she has done, as she will do. And by the sounds of it, Australia will keep batting tomorrow with not really with any consideration of declaration soon. So she could maybe look to even overtake Annabelle Sutherland if she has partners around her, and with the depth that Australia have, it sounds like she will.
My guess would be they bat for about an hour tomorrow, just to to wear down England a little further and then give themselves a chance at them. Um, it's yeah. I mean, the lead now is what 249. So you add another 50 or 60 to that, you're looking at 300. That's not a bad place to be starting from.
No, 300 would be more than enough. I think 250 is probably enough. I mean, I was definitely thinking that if Mooney had maybe got to 100 with 5 overs, 6 overs to go in the day's play, I mean, if I was captaining, I'd have been tempted to throw England in then, try and get a wicket or two early on, like before, worst comes to worst, England maybe get a lead of 100, which you would back yourselves to knock off pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
But I think
It looks like the pitch
likely.
has been playing easier and easier as the day's gone on too.
Yeah, but you can never really tell because of the quality of Australia and perhaps the lack thereof, and the tiring in particular bowling
Yeah.
that continued on. I mean, you look in that first session, first 3 hours, your England bowlers all had kind of economies in between 1.5, 2.5. It was all reasonably tight, reasonably controlled. And then Sutherland and Mooney just sort of started to pick up the pace. I think once Healy came in,
Yeah.
she played with a little bit more freedom in itself, and then yeah, Beth Mooney and Sutherland in particular, I think were batting about 3.5 and over, really up the rate. And then even once Sutherland went, Mooney expanded even more and first joined by Ash Gardner, who obviously I'm sure will be happy to be back in the side after the T20 series on the sideline with an injury. She batted really nicely for her, 44 as well. And then Tyler McGrath, I think right at the end, there's a slight sort of disappointment around the crowd, but a little laugh in the box, in the media box, as Tyler McGrath didn't really seem to contemplate the fact that Beth Mooney was stranded on 98 and was looking to try and hit boundaries and run twos more than anything else.
Oh well, I mean it'll carry on the suspense until tomorrow. As far as the England bowlers are concerned, my view was that Lauren Bell was probably easily the best of the England bowlers. She really carried the fast bowlers, and although Sophie Ecclestone bowled almost 40 overs all up, and took a couple of wickets, she wasn't at her best, I don't think.
No, she didn't really create as many chances. She obviously had a few catches dropped off her own bowling, but so did Bell, so did all of them, I'm pretty sure. I also think Nat Brunt bowled with a lot of control. She was the only one really to not hit out of the attack, but to not be taken for a few. So obviously a bit more experience with her. She's the only one over the age of 25 in the lineup. So I think that's perhaps something to maybe consider. But yeah, Ecclestone perhaps maybe just because she knows she is the one that they have to rely on, because she is the one with the most experience and is definitely the most threatening of the frontline bowlers. That perhaps she felt a little bit more weight on her shoulders, and yeah, as you mentioned, bowling 40 overs, or best part of, was a long day for her. I'm sure her shoulder we saw, but she's definitely be relied on again tomorrow, and probably by the end of tomorrow could be up near 50 overs if Australia look to keep going. Lauren Finer, I thought looked pretty sharp. She had the fastest ball, the fastest delivery of any seamer in the match today, over 120 kilometers an hour. Her average speed in the mid sort of in the low teens, I think, as well. So she looked pretty decent. And yeah, Lauren Bell, I think, as you mentioned there, was definitely the standout. Two wickets for her, and she just toiled away as well. But
yeah,
I think that you can only have such a good bowling display when the fielding let them down so much, because it's hard to really judge the bowlers without any sort of anything else behind them. The number of even just misfields that just let Australia, probably near 50, I reckon. That total of just misfields, fours through legs, drop catches obviously would raise the total. Hannah Sutherland was dropped 2-3 times, I think, particularly early on in her innings.
Sophie Ecclestone was actually, I mean, because she's such an important player in the side, it seems to me that Sophie Ecclestone dropping a catch is more significant than some others, and her fielding's not great either. And it sort of sets a lead.
She was taken out of the slip cordon by the end of the day. I think Heather Knight, who was in the slips for Ecclestone's bowling, just ended up staying there the whole time. I think with two. I mean, the second one from Ecclestone was a very simple catch. That, I think, was just a culmination of 80 overs in the field. She bowled 40 of them. So I think that was a pretty tough one. Like, not tough one, but tough mentally. And the first one was a tricky one, down to her left diving. But it's one of those, I think, that if women play 10 tests a year, 8 tests a year, and train within the slip board, and I was chatting with a few people before, they won't ever practice slip catching. On day one, you saw that they were out there, and the first 3 or 4 is just almost them shaking off the cobwebs, because they've not done any slip catching since the last test, and even before that, they've only had 2 tests since the last Ashes, both sides. So I think a lot of it is just them getting used to it as much as anything else. It's going to always be a tricky one to get back into that mindset of we could be out here for 100 overs, and they were.
Indeed. There was a moment of unfortunate synchronicity, actually, where McDonald Gay dropped a catch from Ecclestone's bowling 1 over, and the very next over, Ecclestone dropped a catch off McDonald Gay's bowling just to get her own back.
Yeah, indeed. There was a lot of that going around, I think.
Yeah. Was anybody at the press conference afterwards? They say, "Fuck it, we're not coming."
Yeah, they sent McDonald Gay to the press conference, which we thought was a little bit harsh, because she's getting the girl with 2 caps who's only sort of just come into the side to be held accountable for the fielding is not really the one. But She obviously did get the crucial wicket of Sutherland, and you could see she was pleased with that. But she also mentioned how tough it was being out there for 100 overs, and she's obviously going to find it the hardest because she's not done that before. Even against South Africa, they skittled them twice pretty quickly. So being out there for 40, 50 overs in what will be hot weather in South Africa, but doesn't really compare to out here at the MCG where you're being sort of pumped around the ground, catches are going down left, right, centre, misfields left, right, centre. So it's a pretty tough one, that. And then Annabelle Sutherland came out to talk, obviously, for her remarkable knock. Sort of obviously spoke really well, but fairly humbly, as you'd expect as well. Talked a little bit about her two brothers, Will, who's obviously taken a threefer in the Australia A, sort of what looks like could be a victory against England Lions, who have been forced to follow on, and also about her other brother, who she said is arguably the most talented of the three, yet doesn't actually play cricket. He's a golfer.
Oh, bloody golfers. They're all mad. Golfers don't play against other people. They play against themselves. So it's a very different way of doing things. Oh, dear. So was there any... Oh, the thing we didn't mention, of course, was that the woman who has the most wickets in Ashes Test matches and the most runs in Ashes Test matches, Elise Perry, has not bowled a ball and hasn't batted. Is she likely to play any part in this game from here on?
I'm going to say no. I think she's completely fit to, and they've said that she could have come out to bat if they needed her to. But I think that kind of shows the confidence that they have in the rest of their team. She may come out to bat at number 8 tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if they send Alana King out first. And Kim Garth is a more than useful batter as well. So between the two of them, they could easily, I'm sure, stay with Mooney if McGrath doesn't. And just try and really, as you say, get to 350 kind of lead if they can. Yeah. But I think she's also probably not going to bowl just because they don't need her to. She didn't bowl in the first innings either. Yeah. So I think it's probably going to be a pretty relaxed day for Perry, unless she really, really is needed, which I can't see happening, really. It's going to be you'd assume a pretty simple, possibly all over tomorrow, probably all over tomorrow. But it kind of depends on how aggressive and attacking Australia want to be with their declaration.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a pretty miserable thing facing it from England's point of view. There's really nothing much to be gained other than the possibility of an individual score. Beyond that, there's very little. I did see a comment that they'd be lucky to catch the plane at this rate, but the rejoinder was, well, maybe they'll get to catch it a day early, in fact.
Maybe, yeah, they might actually be able to. I reckon they'll probably end up having a day on the beach, over here in Melbourne, or shopping, or exploring the town centre, whatever there might be to do, because it is a pretty nice town, Melbourne. So
it is, and day 4 is going to be 37, and if they have that day off, they can definitely go down the beach.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think, as you mentioned, it's going to be a long day, and it is kind of down to Australia really now to win the game as much as it is for England to lose it, or they have already kind of lost it.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, thank you for that, Toby. A couple of things I haven't mentioned previously to our listeners. I would urge you to go to the Guerilla Cricket website and read Toby's daily report on what's been going on, which he got up within seconds of the close of play. I was very impressed with that, Toby. And also that we need all the support we got. The Bear has sold the Guerilla Towers. We're looking for a new studio, and we need the support, whatever support we can get from our Patreons in particular. If you go to patreon.com/Guerilla Cricket, you'll find all sorts of ways to support us there. So that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow, maybe the last day of the series. Thank you for being with us, Toby, and good luck tonight. You can go to bed now.
Cheers.
And now it's time for Guerilla.